All right, listeners, check it out. As promised, I have Duncan Batchworth III from Automaton on the old telly with me tonight.
Cheerio.
Duncan, how you doing, man?
Excellent, excellent. Yes, glad to be here.
And thank you for taking time to hang out with the Keep It Metal show tonight.
And we're keeping it metal and keeping it steampunk tonight.
Awesome. So, dude, why don't you take us back to the beginning?
Gotcha.
And,
okay, yes, where we discussed when I first tuned in. So, steampunk is a newer movement of an older concept. Think Jules Verne, but sort of rewritten to modern sci-fi. And I didn't entirely know what it was till about 2008, 2009. A roommate of mine invited me out to an event in Cincinnati, hosted by currently the group's called Pandora Promotions, and I believe it was the Voodoo Carnival. And there were women in corsets, people in Venetian masks, and these lively bands that blew my mind. I really wanted to be a part of it, and it combined my love of geeky things, and I knew it's a place that I wanted to be. And a few gentlemen I had in mind musically decided to take that leap and combine the metal that we love to play with this new subculture, so to speak.
Cool, very cool, man. So the steampunk movement, man, it's a relatively new movement, and it's just little by little catching ground.
It is. It's a global movement, actually. A number of people that have attended events like Comic-Con or some of the geekier fandom festivals have been giving it a whirl, at least the last 7 or 8 years, where they try on mechanical arms and sort of create this atmosphere of rebellion against a greater force and government, kind of like what Cyberpunk did after Blade Runner. But instead of futuristic hacking technology, it's as though the world were still just learning about its industrialized self.
Cool, very cool. So now I ask because I'm here in Northeast PA. I'm right between Philadelphia and New York. So what's trending now, more than likely, is not going to reach this area for about another 4 years. So.
Well, I think it was Mark Twain said that, or was it Winston Churchill? How could I even get the two confused other than that they visited Cincinnati frequently? And one of them said that Cincinnati is at least 30 years behind the times at any given time. So maybe you guys had steampunk before.
Yeah, it's very
never
possible. Knew it. It's very, we were the reigning kings of coal here, so...
Absolutely. And actually, there's a steampunk group out of Pittsburgh called Airship Hypatia that we're friends with, and they're going to be coming to the big event in Cincinnati as well and hanging out with us.
Oh, very cool, man, very cool. So, man, how'd you come up with the name Automaton, man? How'd you decide on that name?
Well, okay, so when we formed the band, it was the drummer and myself meeting with a couple of guitarists and bassists to sort of meet and discuss if we were really going to make this leap and go forward with these potentially silly costumes that other metalheads might not even be on board with. And when we decided we were going to give it a whirl, picking a name's a big thing. You know, you got a brand, you got to stick to a brand, you got to keep to it. And I think at the time, my drummer, mechanic James O'Brien, was playing the mighty game of Skyrim. And when he went into one of the Dwemer, which is the dwarven holds, these giant robot creatures would attack him. They were called automatons. And we'd known the term before, but it seemed a perfect fit, and there weren't any other bands in the scene that had that name. Awesome,
man, awesome. And it fits. It's fitting, right?
Absolutely. Very much a part of our story. We kind of storyboarded, and it was inspired by a Dungeons & Dragons character creation session where myself and the other guys that were giving it a whirl sort of made who we wanted to be into our stage personas. You know, if we're going to have giant robots and airships, well, there's got to be someone who's in charge, a captain. So our guitarist, now Captain Luther Mead, decided he wanted to take that role and sort of fleshed out a character and a concept and a costume.
Awesome.
We all each took on a role.
Very cool, very cool. So now, the songwriting, Duncan, would you say it's a one-person effort? Is it a group effort? How do you go about writing the tunes?
It's a group effort, of course, but it's a building effort because we each build off of each other. Although I write a bulk of the lyrics, I'm inspired by the guitar parts I hear, and the guys always will rearrange some words, because some ideas I have are outright terrible with lyrics. So I always have those guys that second voice to rearrange some things, suggest some phrases and structure. We always try to keep it to the metal we love and kind of the themes we love in both sci-fi and heavy metal.
Very cool, very cool. So now, how would you describe your sound to people?
It's we've tossed around the term power metal and new wave of traditional heavy metal, but judging by different backgrounds, we throw in elements from different subgenres that people love. And I hate to break it down into those because we just play what we feel and know. My guitarist, Captain Luther Mead, is very much inspired by folk metal and the danceable, folky elements show up through his playing. Professor Marcus Wolverhampton, the intellectual of the group, is actually very proggy influenced, very much Dream Theater, and practices for umpteen hours in the day. So he brings out that element and some complexity. Isaac Grimwood, our bassist, is inspired by sludge metal and doom metal, and Mechanic James O'Brien and myself are very much the cheesy power metal loving anthemic fans.
Big vocals, big arena.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And we've been teaching ourselves as we go. We've been metalheads our whole lives, and a lot of us have been playing music for a very long time, but our sound is always growing and adjusting to what we feel at the time.
Cool, very cool, man. Now, you guys play a lot of live shows?
We do. The goal is one every 3 to 6 weeks, and we try to dig with our shows. We try to find venues that we haven't played, or reach out to different groups, or even we try to make every event significant and special. We put our heads together for an event called Cincinnati Power Fest, which we had. We sort of bypassed some local booking agents, turned to one who actually had a heart for the music and didn't have any shady practices, and we actually got some money together from vendors and local artists and a convention to chip in and rent out one of the biggest venues in Cincy, Northern Kentucky, the Madison Theater, and we got 315 people where we headlined and played with notable acts like Lords of the Trident out of Wisconsin, Ford Theater Reunion out of Lexington, our brothers, and I call them our twin band, Stagecoach Inferno out of Louisville, and some of our local heroes as well.
Awesome, awesome. So what can the people expect when they come to see an Automaton show?
Something different. And what I explain to people, one of the ways we brand it is barrel-chested and fancy-vested heavy metal. So we try to incorporate a metal sound and larger-than-life rock show that people didn't realize that metal often has. And of course, we create something that the long-time, strong-blooded metal fans will love and find endearing. But we were also trying to loop in people that maybe had no idea that heavy metal had a certain charm. Like a lot of the steampunk people were nervous about the concept of a mosh pit breaking out at their event. Oh, my mechanical arm! I spent thousands of hours working on this. I must step back from this bizarre thrashing about of these people. But then suddenly that same gentleman is tapping his toe and smiling when he sees that we have booze and smiles and dancing and just a big story, even though it's still the same loud heavy metal that we've always wanted to play.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Duncan,
big thing also is a sense of humor.
Cool, very cool. The first tune I want to play tonight, Age of the Smokestacks. What can you tell us about the song?
Age of the Smokestacks, I originally had the lyrical line of the chorus written out about a year before the band formed, because people had been tossed around the idea with me. Actually, James O'Brien, the Mechanic, current drummer, we had been nurturing the idea on and off for a while. We sort of were off doing our own thing, and then we both were thinking about it at all times. And that's when I wrote part of the chorus line. And the first time we got together at my apartment after hanging out at pool hall, the first line up started making it happen. Starting bouncing around more imagery of what we saw in steampunk books and at events, and we wanted it to be a scene setter, kind of to set the stage for what the time would be like. One of the lines is horse-drawn carriage obsolete. Actually, I had that reversed. It's traveling above the street, horse-drawn carriage obsolete. How it's got that old feel, but the new is very much a part of it too.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, listeners, check this out. Age of the Smokestacks from Automaton. We'll be right back with more Duncan. All right, listeners, welcome back. We have Duncan from Automaton on the old telephone here with us. How you doing, man?
Excellent. I'm having a lot of fun here.
Awesome. Glad. Thank you again for chatting with us tonight.
Yeah.
So
I love to share what I know, and that's this wonky little world we live in.
Awesome.
Of this band.
So, when did you first become involved with music, and when did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
I've been playing guitar since I was 8 years old. In this project, I don't, play guitar or bass at all. I played bass in a progressive metal band from 2002 to about 2011, and as I took on the first job out of college, I found that I missed music, and because I did not have a project at the time, I would just kind of go around the local karaoke circuit and mimic my favorite singers' voices, do some Judas Priest, some Iron Maiden, some Dio at some local holes in the wall, and people loved it. I got roaring applause a number of times when I was just goofing around with some of my friends, and it sort of clicked with me when James O'Brien, our drummer, was like, "No, you should do this, like straight up,"
cool,
and gave it a whirl.
Very cool, very cool. So now you mentioned a couple bands there, Dio, Priest. Who would you say are your personal musical influences?
We joke as a band that as a band we only have two musical influences, and that's Iron Maiden and Dio. And that's not accurate at all. It's kind of a band inside joke because we would start to explain our influences in folk metal, power metal, progressive metal, and people would just kind of, people at some of these steampunk events would just kind of stare blankly. So, we'd kind of roll our eyes and say, oh, well, Dio and Iron Maiden. They'd go, yeah, that's great. You guys should be awesome. Let's see that. But in metal circles, we would describe steampunk and get the same response. We'd roll our eyes and say, okay, well, how about Wild Wild West? And they'd go, oh, yeah, Mechanical Arms, cool. So what we're trying to do is have these tenured ladies and gents sometimes in the steampunk community, and these wild metalheads come together, throw their arms around each other and smile and jump around to this combined culture we've sort of tried to pull forward.
Cool. You were cutting in and out a little bit there, Duncan, but we got you back. We got you back. All's good. So,
gotcha.
When you're not writing, when you're not touring, when you're not doing work for the band, man, what does Duncan do for a day off, man? What do you do to enjoy yourself?
Well, why, I run the newspaper The Azimuth underneath my father, but I believe in journalistic integrity. You see, the Recolarian people have been abused, and Ionia is at the helm of this by dumping toxic waste into the neighboring colony. Actually, I'm a job recruiter at a labor firm. We're looking to get people from all walks of life hired. I work at it's a good job. I do really enjoy it, and the money's good, to a point where I can live simply and put into the band practice space and the time and materials needed to get to shows and drive about. So I'm at a good spot in my life, and my bandmates are as well. We've assigned ourselves to this project wholeheartedly.
Awesome, man. What would you say is your most memorable moment so far?
It had to have been Cincinnati Power Fest. I can send you a video for your own personal viewing, and I can either post it on the page or. But we had a show in northern Kentucky, which is some parts of northern Kentucky are still considered Cincinnati, and in a third year of a local show that we branded Cincy Power Fest, we decided to get some vendors involved, some heartfelt booking agents who really have a knack for finding good heartfelt metal around the region, and we brought on board Madison, Wisconsin metalers, Lords of the Trident, our brothers and sisters out of Lexington, Ford Theater Reunion, our twin band, Stagecoach Inferno, and a number of local heroes as well. So it was an unreal show, and at the end, after playing to a crowd of 315 people, we called all the performers on stage for a curtain call, in which 30 people jumped on stage and we're all jumping and moshing about and singing along with our last song. And it was in 20 years of making music, I have never felt that experience in my life. It brought me to tears.
Wow, that's
and
really
it's all
cool.
It's all caught on professional video too. So
yes, please send the video. That's awesome. I'm sitting here, and I can only imagine what that must have felt like.
Apparently in the region, there a lot of metal bands don't necessarily have the camaraderie that we've felt and been so fortunate to find in Cincinnati's metal scene. Steampunk aside, the metal bands in Cincinnati are all very heartfelt. We show up to each other's shows. We have playful wagers and bets, and we drink together and hang out all the time. And it's sort of a unity that I've been told other metal scenes haven't had the pleasure of. So we decided to sort of grab that energy and run with it. And Cincy Power Fest in its fourth year might be getting some bigger national acts is our goal. And we're teaching ourselves the booking side as we go.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. So now you spoke of your most memorable moment. Let's take it the other way, man. Do you have any Spinal Tap moments you want to share with us?
We've had a few. Let's just say I'm a tubbier gentleman. You know, that portly, goes with the territory. Portly, yes. In this case, a portly gentleman. I love those parlor games and the hors d'oeuvres. But so at the earliest take of the earliest imagining of the band, we did not have very good or strong costumes. So here I am, a chubby guy with a top hat and wonky looking glasses, and the booking agent is just staring at us like what am I doing with these guys? So it was one of those shows where he sardined 7 bands on the bill, and we were put on at 1 a.m. and we played to a pool hall, so all the people in our crowd were the regulars that were playing pool and maybe like 7 or 8 of our friends. But man, I mean, we sold it. We played to that crowd of 7 people like it was 7,000, and even got an apology from that booking agent afterwards because we just want to show a heartfelt time. But man, when it comes to Spinal Tap moments, they're left and right. I've had weird offers from shows that I thought existed but didn't. I've had, just all sorts of funny run-ins in both steampunk and metal. So no, that's part of the game. Is we learn as we go with the music business, and we're taking it on with open arms. So
that's great, man. That's great.
And a sense of humor too. You can't do a show like we do and be super serious faced the whole time. And even at moments where I have been, my bandmates crack a joke or put me at ease right away to take on what we have to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And hats off to you, man, for putting that kind of energy into a show like that. Playing
Thanks
for 7 people, and playing with all your heart and soul as if it was an arena crowd.
Yeah. We had one where the microphones went out, the PA completely died, and I just sort of pantomimed the singing and the energy after catching my composure and realizing what happened and sort of addressing the situation. I still hopped down into the crowd and joined the group to sort of continue the energy.
That's awesome. That's really cool, man. The next song I want to play tonight, Rise of the Ruined Nation, man. What can you tell us about the tune?
Okay, so in our story, we have 2 nations right on the brink of war. One is Ionia, the freshly industrialized nation that's sort of strong-arming its power and seizing up the land and poisoning it with spreading their industrial waste into the neighboring colony. That's a little bit more, Recalar is a little bit more of a countryside, a tribal gathering of different groups of people that have been ruined by this sludge, and it's turned them into mutants. They've started to mutate, and after a long time of this, and even a previous conflict that's hinted at in this song, they gather together and sort of address Ionia. It's sort of right on the brink of war, and a big thing for me is that the Ruined Nation is it's a heavy metal nation. We don't overtly say heavy metal, but it is. They're the little guys who find beauty in the devastation. They identify with something that the rest of the world does not, and they find it special and would follow it to death. And that is Recalar, and that is heavy metal, and that is Rise of the Ruined Nation.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Check it out, listeners. Rise of the Ruined Nation from Automaton. We'll be right back with more Duncan.
horn beckons onslaught. He adds the color of Ionian blood to his palette, and the canvas is clear. Strong automaton, working round each hour with scientific minds. 30 hearts of valor, unrelenting will. Ionia will crumble for all that they have killed. We come ourselves in the ashes, miracle way of life. Born within a mushroom cloud, we learn our sense of pride. We will rise, a ruined nation, write it on the walls. Find beauty in the devastation, civilization falls. Yes, we are a ruined nation, raise your fists up high. Recolor, a ruined nation, join us now or die.
All right, gang, we're back with Mr. Duncan from Automaton. Duncan, how you
Tally
doing?
ho!
Man? Awesome, awesome. So we were talking a little bit off air there about your CD, your EP.
Yes, so
there
the
was
EP
a few songs from your EP that you revamped for your CD. But if you want to tell us a little bit about your EP first.
Sure thing. Our EP was released in 2013. It's called Look to the Skies, and it was 4 of the songs that are currently on are full length, and our first attempt at voice acting for a number of us, which it didn't quite go the way we originally wanted, but it still had its charm and fun and kept the story moving. And I think it was 8 total tracks overall, and we sold about 200 copies overall between digital and sales at our shows. And it was a good way for people to understand what we were about, even though we were learning as we went. We hadn't had the experience in recording much, and after this was done, we got a lot of feedback. We had a lot of followers and a lot of eyes towards us. We floated out an Indiegogo and raised close to $3,000 from friends, fans, and people who really did believe in us. And we had a little exclusive club called the Thirsty 30, which I'd like to shout out to, ladies and gentlemen, right now. 30 people who donated to receive a official member of our resistance crew, and we have a song on our new album called the Thirsty 30, and it's about 30 inventors and scientists and lawmakers and resistance fighters who are aiming to take down Ionia from the inside that were imprisoned. And during that song, we all just let loose and party. And live, it was one of everybody's favorite songs to hear because it's a drinking song and it involved audience participation. So for our Indiegogo, we decided that we wanted to have a very special perk for people who really were excited and on board with that, and we filled 30 up within a couple weeks of floating that out. in addition to all the other perks we had, we raised close to $3,000 for it. Recorded with a local wizard, Kevin Brown, and mastered in Sweden with Fascination Street, who's worked with Amon Amarth, Symphony X, Devin Townsend, Dragon Force, and Angra. So we were more than geeked to work with Tony Lindgren, who's an up-and-coming there. He's been The Apprentice and has even taken on some bigger albums as well, like I believe the band Paradise Lost, most recent one, and the current Angra album were done by him.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm looking at your Indiegogo page here, and you had a goal of 2,000. You raised nearly 3,000, man. That had to blow you away.
It was awe-inducing. Again, I've been making music for 20 years and really clicked with these guys more than I have any other musicians, and the whole time it was a leap of faith. It was like, is this even going to work? We're going to wear silly costumes and tell a story, and who knows, they might not even like it, but you know what, man, we're sticking to our guns. And funny I say guns, we have a song about a Nerf gun, actually, on the album called The Maverick. And but yeah, no, we're sticking to those silly little 6-shooters, and we've made it our thing, our territory.
Cool, very cool. So what advice would you have for the bands just starting out, man?
Create a brand experience. I know I'm talking super businessy here, but it's a big thing. It's not just a matter of show up, play the music with passion, and expect a big name person to be in the crowd and sign you. It's not that. It's devotion to the craft, streamlining it so that your music is associated with your sound, your name. And learning from your mistakes as you go. Just keep at it, even when it hurts. Because man, even right now, I'm still. I think I'm gonna have some ramen as soon as we get off the call here. Some delightful, tasty ramen. Yes, garnished with some garlic. But no, really, you know, I've been told by some artists, you know, if you need to live out of your car to stick to your craft, obviously, I don't want people homeless or anything, but if you are pushed to human limit and you're second guessing it, don't, because you're doing better than you think you are with this stuff. You really are. So go out there, keep to it, bide the time. As we say in our song, clench your teeth and give them hell. Never stray from your ways.
Awesome. Great advice, man. So is Automaton on a label, man? Are you looking for a label?
Right now, we are looking for a label. We're floating out some material. We've got an electronic press kit that we've organized and are floating out and about. And some of these videos from PowerFest were put together by film students in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and they excel with that. Holland, I'd like to give a shout out to you if you're listening, sir. Holland Rains is the gent behind the cam, and we got sound direct from the board at Madison Theater. So that's wow. A big part of it is that giant end of the show curtain call, that big hugging moment where we had 30 rock and metal musicians on stage, you know, compelling a crowd of 315 people to throw themselves around and give it all their spirit, all their energy, and all their soul.
Very cool, very cool. So what is the ultimate goal for Automaton, man? What would you like to see?
I know this sounds silly, but I feel like when Captain Luther Mead and I have discussed what it is to be a musician, it's carrying that story. It's carrying that tune at all times. You know, one of our stage things, I say that Captain Mead carries a compass, a pistol, and a tune at all times. But in this little blue marble of we don't even know what it is, we're walking around trying to find answers. But that whole time, as humans, that we seek answers, we're tapping our toe, we're humming a melody, and it keeps us together. So regardless of where this little project takes us, it's allowed to be our contribution to a long history of minstrels and traveling, smiling people who keep the energy in the world and that magic going.
That's really cool, man. Awesome. Really cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I would say, have you grown, man? Have you evolved as a band since the beginning days up until present day? I mean, I would assume you have. You clicked. It all came together.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just musically. We our first couple shows we'd played with I believe it was our colleagues, the band Dead Iron, out of Cleveland, Ohio. They're actually opening Wacken this year. The end result for any metal band that succeeds, that it has to be Wacken or a label or a giant tour or festival. Right. That's the one. And our brothers Dead Iron are playing out there. We played a show with them for the first time, and they were super stoked about our idea, our sound, and they loved us. We were hanging out, but the brother to brother feedback was, hey, you guys are getting there, but a certain amount of tightness that you'll get in time, and I totally have faith in you guys. So Kid took that to mind, and we were bouncing on some ideas, playing more shows, and although we put on a strong, high energy show, it wasn't until we brought on our current bassist Isaac Grimwood and other guitarist, lead guitarist, Professor Marcus Wolverhampton, by chance in Cincinnati. Marcus Wolverhampton was in a prog band in Cincy that had sort of stagnated, and he was looking for something else. And Isaac Grimwood sort of just fell out of his stowaway barrel and rolled into our practice space one day when we were auditioning bassists and blew everyone else out of the water. So it was this lineup and learning the hard way a number of times, having to cancel a big show opportunity, butting heads at times, that we've grown not only as people but as musicians, and it's all just molded together in one ensemble cast. We used to remind each other, hey, we're all expendable, we got to keep in mind not to have the egos because we can sub anyone out at this point. And, it was kind of like we had to train ourselves to not feel special, because that's the nature of the rock and roll and metal beast. Exactly. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that we get egos or claim ourselves to be anything special, but we have a greater understanding of ourselves and how we fit into this group, that we've become a family, because there's no other cast that can do, and no other metal musicians that might necessarily be willing to throw on a top hat in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky and play this exact sound we're looking for. So we've learned to grow as musicians and family, because we're closer to each other than anyone else, and all the associated butting heads and brotherly moments come with that.
Cool. And that's really cool, because a lot of bands break up and you hear, oh, it was because of this, it was because of that, but the bottom line, it's more often than not because of ego. And that's really cool, man. That
it's about slaying that ego. And I know I am a rock singer, so sometimes I have moments, but I keep it more in line with confidence, and it is best to feel and stay humble, because I love just talking to people after a show. I love connecting with people, and that's bigger than any mindset of any musician in a band. It really is.
That's cool. That you stop, you reach out to the fans, you sit down, you talk with them, and so many times you see a band just walk off stage, pack their gear, and leave, and they're not even there to see the next band play.
Right. And that's where I feel, again, Cincinnati metal has become a very special beast on its own, is because a lot of us stick around for that stuff. And I'll tell you what, if ever any of the members in our band do get caught up in any of those mindsets, we slap that right out of them, or hug it right out of them, as my drummer so affectionately does.
Awesome, man. Where can the listeners find Automaton?
Tell you what, right now we've been driving traffic to our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Bandcamp page. So let me rattle these off to you. Facebook.com/steam-powered-metal. Take you right to our Facebook page, where we sometimes interact as characters, and our posts are very playful and funny. We even have some visual humor and jokes associated with it. Like, I guess the hat I wore at our last show looks strangely like a Tusken Raider from Star Wars. And my bassist photoshopped my hat into the Tusken Raider helmet. Called me Duncan Batchworth III. And I'm sure a few people face-palmed and head-desked when they saw it.
I seen it. I was giggling.
The other one on Instagram is Automaton Official. And our album can be streamed for free at steampoweredmetal.bandcamp.com. Give it a listen. Let it warm your ears and your heart. It's pay as you feel. In addition to, I believe we have it on a number of other digital outlets like Amazon MP3, Google Play, Spotify, and what's the other one? iTunes. Yes, the big one. How could I forget? The mighty Apple.
Awesome. And I'd like to point out that Automaton is also on the Metal Assault 2 compilation.
Yes, absolutely.
Brought to you by Keeping Metal Promotions, Cosmic Productions. You're on our compilation.
Yeah, no, I was really excited to be a part of that.
So, and then I want to thank you for being a part of that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Wow, man. Last song I want to play tonight, hot off the press, man. What can you tell us about the tune?
Think about the last energy you felt when you grabbed a book off the shelf or opened up a newspaper. When you first unrolled it, you smell that ink. It's a very visceral experience that I think our world is forgetting about. You know, you don't get that when you log in your mini feed in Facebook. You don't get that when you turn on your phone and that mobile apps, all those mobile apps vie for your attention. No. This is a connection between you and the written word that I want to sort of instill that feeling back into the listener, that energy, that excitement, and we even have a sort of introduction of our characters where we all sing our name in our voices towards the end of it. Kind of is like an audio legend as to when the characters speak, and you can associate who is who throughout the album.
Very cool. Duncan, man, I want to thank you for taking the time and hanging out with us tonight. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure, brother.
Billy, it has been super exciting. Anyone who does not see the excitement in it might as well be a stuffed bird this evening.
Hang on one second, man. Listeners, check this out. Hot off the press from Automaton. We'll be right back.